Well, good afternoon, Yellow Army, and welcome back to another edition, what promises to be a very interesting edition of Inside Plainmoor. We hope you're all keeping well, of course. I'm joined once again by United manager Gary Johnson, and things have continued to move in the right direction this week, Gary, haven't they?
Yes, they have. I mean, I know, we're all a little bit frustrated at the moment that we can't quite give out the information that we want to give. I mean, a lot of it is really down to the National League, the EFL and the Premier League Championship as well, not quite giving us the start dates yet. We was hoping to get them. And then when you get those start dates, as we've said before on many occasions, we then know when the contracts can start for the National League, because obviously we'll work back to pre-season training, because furlough will finish as and when you get back to training. So that's the thing. Now, I can promise our supporters that we have got a commitment from the 5 lads that I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and it was we were going to tell everyone if we could in the middle of this week, and now it might be the start of next week. However, I will be able to give you a couple of names to start off with, and then a couple on Monday, and the last one on Tuesday. And I promise you that will happen. I'll give you a couple of little clues later on, but we'll see how the interviewer goes, and if he does a good job, then he might drag it out on me.
Right, well, no pressure at all then, so thanks very much for that, Gary. That's great. Well, funny you should mention that, because looking at, we always try and answer all your questions here on our Inside Plainmoor. I don't think Gary's shirked any questions that we've had in the weeks that we've been doing this. So I think if it's all right with you, Gary, we'll start with the contributions that we've had from the Yellow Army this week, because a number of those topics are actually covered in that. Right, so we've got some really interesting questions from the Yellow Army this week. We begin with Ian East. This is regarding goalkeepers. Now, Ian says, I think it's fair to say that both Lucas and Sean are relatively inexperienced goalkeepers at this level, both with their own strengths and weaknesses. Neither have let us down, but he also says he thinks it's fair to say neither have nailed down the #1 spot either. Is this an area, Gary, that you'll be rotating again? Or have you a more firm idea who is going to be your #1? And he also ends by saying, is this a part of the team that you were considering trying to improve? So an interesting contribution there, Ian. Thank you for that. What do you think, Gary?
I think it's a good question, and people often ask that because, Man United supporters might have said that about De Gea this week, and he was supposed to be the best goalkeeper in the world. I mean, the reason why I understand the question is because it was very difficult to choose between the 2 lads last season, because they're both great lads, they're both great goalkeepers, and they are, when you see them in training and some of the saves they make, they're both got fantastic potential, that's for sure. I mean, obviously Lucas is a little bit older than Macca, Sean. So he's got a little bit more experience, but not necessarily at this level that we're playing at. So I just wanted to make sure they both got the experience, because for that experience, they will both be better off this season. And I don't particularly think either of them let us down when they came in. I couldn't really choose at the time because Sean had helped us get promotion. He was an ever-present in the promotion season. And Lucas came in a little bit later, and he didn't let us down either. What I tried to do was, if I had to keep them both happy, because I wanted to keep them both, and I really do think whichever one gets the opening and starts the season, if it goes well for him, then basically he'll be the one that will be your first goalkeeper until otherwise, if you know what I mean, because you might have a bit of a nightmare, might have a bit of a knock. I might feel that he needs a bit of a rest, because we're going to have quite a few games in a short space of time, I would have thought, because the season's a month or so shorter. It will be. They're both very, very good goalkeepers. Please keep behind them, because they'll show you that they're top class keepers. And so therefore, to answer the question, I'm not looking for any other goalkeepers. Those 2 are good mates. They compete with each other. Phil Osborne works with them, 24 hours a day almost. If it's not on the pitch, it's mentally, and they're coming on lovely. So I'm very happy with those two being our goalkeepers next year. As far as the number one, they'll be competing for it, and I won't necessarily be going one, then the next one, then the one, then the next one, which I don't think I did anyway. It was sort of like a group of games just to make sure that they both got plenty of games during the season.
It must be reassuring for yourself, Gary, as a manager, knowing that whoever you got between the sticks, whether there's an injury or a loss of form or a temporary loss of form or anything like that, that you've got a goalkeeper in there. You're not going to have to worry about. You haven't got a complete rookie that's never played a professional game before and is clearly there as a number two. Either one, you're going to be confident going with. Absolutely, mate. I'm confident, totally confident in both of them. And, at 5'6", I've never been a goalkeeper, do you know what I mean? But Phil Osborne, who's been a goalkeeper and he's our goalkeeper coach, he talks about them very highly. I watch their training sometimes, when Downsy takes the first team on occasions, and then I'll flitter between the goalies and the team training, the first team. And I watch them train, and they are both 100%ers. They're both Torquay-fied, as we say. And they've both got an affinity with the club at this moment in time. And, we'll watch them, we'll keep watching them grow in confidence, in stature, and all the things that go with confidence and stature, match-winning saves. Because, sometimes if it's in the top corner and a goalie just don't quite get there, and then the next time another goalie does just get there because it was an inch nearer him, that goalie looks a lot better than the first one because he's actually got there. But you know what I mean? So it's very precarious a situation to say whether a goalkeeper's better than another one. They've both got the qualities, and now it's up to them to this season to compete with each other, and we'll see how it goes. Great stuff. Okay, well, the great question. We've got another good question here. It's from Mike Brewer. Mike's talking about set pieces, corners in particular. Now, he says that in his opinion, he felt that, he said, I think we were poor and scored very few goals from corners last season, despite having some big lads at the back coming up. In his opinion, only Asa Hall seems to be a threat in the air. I remember Aaron Downs getting on the end of corners. He also mentions a previous player called Jim McNichol, who he said was superb with his anticipation and timing of runs and jumps. He ends by saying, does Gary accept this as a fair point? Does he feel like it's an area that we're lacking in? I do. I think, a couple of centre-backs were quite inexperienced for this level that we had when Robbie Cundy was playing with Kyle. And both of them needed to work hard on their attacking play from corners and set plays. Towards the end, we started getting them attacking things, getting the timing right, because it's so different to head a ball that's coming to you as a centre-back out of the air and you're facing it, because they're both big lads and they're both aggressive lads. But it's another thing to time the run from corners or a wide free kick, for instance, to time it and have the technique to jump and head it with that timing and head it towards the goal when everyone's trying to stop you. Because they won't only put one person on those bigger players, they'll put one big one on him and probably a little one around him to block his run. And so they had to just be more, Carl's definitely got the technique when you're just crossing it to him. But we will have, see, this is where you're pushing me now, we will have a couple of centre-backs that, along with Kyle, to come in to the football club. So I'm hoping that area we will be stronger, because here we go again. There's a striker coming in that is also very, very good at winning aerial battles, especially from corners and free kicks. So I've strengthened that all round, and it was a good spot as far as the question was concerned, because I believe as well
we do have to get stronger from set plays, and I know the importance of set plays because it's 50% of your goals is generally set plays, and I think ours was just a little bit short than that. But we've got good deliverers, very, very good deliverers of the ball. Now we've got to have that experience, technique, timing to get on the end of a few more.
Okay, Gaffer. Well, like I say, you've never avoided a question before, and hopefully this one isn't going to change things at all. This is one from Joe Pope, and
it's always a first time.
Well, Joe says, will we see the 5 players announced today? It's probably one that a few members of the Yellow Army are asking at the moment. If not, when do you anticipate them being announced? So go on then, Gaffer. What can you tell me today? What can you tell the Yellow Army today?
Well, yeah, I've tried to tell the Yellow Army through these videos exactly what I knew at the time, and because we had no information about when the season was going to start, everything was always subject to a medical or subject to a contract, because contracts can't start until we get back to training. We don't know when exactly officially when we can get back to training, because we don't know the National League start dates. Now, it is frustrating. It's frustrating for me as well, because I want to tell you who they are, because I believe that these 5 will give us a strength and an experience that will help us untold. It will give us so much more than we had last season, in my opinion, to compete in this league. So what I think I can do, and I might get into trouble with this one, but I can tell you we 2 of the 5 have agreed, and they're 2 strikers, and I'm going to give you their names in a minute. 2 are centre back. I've already said centre backs with experience, and the other one is an attacking midfield player. All right. Now, I don't think our Yellow Army are very clever, and I've tried to drop little, little. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to drop hints. Yeah. Try to drop little hints. While I'm talking, by the way, I'm thinking, should I be saying this? But anyway, I've said it now. Okay, so we needed 2 strikers, and we needed 2 strikers that we needed to score at least 30, 40 goals between them. I think I've got those 2. People know that I'm a big believer in Danny Wright, because he got me promotion as our main number 9 striker at Cheltenham. He's had lots of promotions. He's had 500 odd games. He's a young 35 coming on 36. I wouldn't sign a 36-year-old, 35-year-old has been. All right, he still is, because he gives so much to the Cheltenham team, and he will to us, because not only is he a very experienced player, he's very good on, but also off the pitch as well, because he's been there. If young players want to go to war, they want to go to war with somebody who's been there. Danny Wright has been there. You know what I mean? He's played at all different levels. As I say, he's got his promotions. I think he won the FA Trophy with Wrexham, was it? He's a presence, and I think I felt that we didn't have that presence up front last year, as far as somebody who could really knock a few centre halves about and allow our busy, clever midfielders to work around. So he gives us that extra option of being able to head a goal. He's unbelievably fit. I promise you that. People will see that. So if you see him as a 28, 29-year-old, he's a great signing, because he looks a bit younger than he is. And he's also as fit as any of the other young lads. So there's one. The other one people won't necessarily know at the moment, but I did ask you to do a little bit of homework on him, didn't I, just in case. And this is the in case. So, you know, you can come in when you need to, Don. But there's a lad called Andrew Nelson, who's a striker from Dundee. He started off, I believe, at Sunderland. Is that right?
Yep.
From your, and he went to Darlington on loan. He'd been somewhere else on loan. He's 22. There's so much potential in this lad. It's unbelievable. And I think I'm not bad at seeing potential in people that hasn't quite got there yet. He got a bit of an injury when he was 17, and I think he played for Sunderland's first team at that point. At 19, he had I think he broke his hand, so he's not a goalie, so that's not a problem. And he's got this work ethic like Danny Wright has, where he's a pest, and he's not only a pest, he's a clever pest, and he can and will get himself into goal scoring situations, so that again our busy, clever attacking midfielders and assist players will have two ahead of them that are going to be, you know, working their socks off, not only scoring goals but creating goals. That's how I see it. I see that as a very potent strike force, and I'm quite excited by that. So, you know, if I wasn't the manager, I'd go out and buy a season ticket right now. Because I just think, just for the fact that they're going to endear themselves to the Yellow Army, because you will identify with these two strikers, and they'll identify with the club. Danny knows what I need. I've had some great chats with Andrew. I've watched his games. He's just got that natural work rate and puts pressure on defenders. Listen, he's got all the potential in the world, and I'm hoping we caught him just at the right time so that we could get him. There was a lot of interest in him, so we did quite well, and I'm pleased that the club made those decisions so that I didn't have to wait, you know, for this opening date and all that sort of thing. So I think the reason why I'm telling you now about these two strikers is because A, I'm excited about it. B, I want our supporters to know. C, I want to give them something, because for 3 weeks I've been saying we're waiting for these dates. But what we have got today, we got the actual dates of the EFL, Premiership and Championship starting date, which is the 12th of September, which is great because we've always said that. That means that we're waiting now for the National League to give us our start date. We think that it could be as early as the 5th, but at worst, it's got to be the 12th, because the EFL wanted us as the National League to start at the same time as them, certainly not later. So we're hoping crowds would be involved in that, because otherwise it would be very difficult for the national conference sides and to exist, if you like, without any crowds as far as financially. So it looks like it's all good news. I mean, the other good news is I think on Monday they're going to let us know, and this has only just come out, almost just before we spoke, is on Monday they're going to bring the dates out for the FA Cup and the FA Trophy. So it just means now it's all getting a bit more comfortable looking forward. So it's exciting at the moment, because it's all going towards starting on that August the 1st and playing the games the 5th or the 12th. What we need now, Don, is we need, our club to give that support of whether it be season tickets or, excitement, all that sort of thing, so that when they do come in, I promise them that they'll see a group of lads that are right up for it. And I wouldn't normally say that just for the sake of saying it. I believe we've got a good group together here that will give everything for the cause, and I know our Yellow Army will. So if we can get regular 3,000-4,000 through our gate, if we can, depending on obviously the virus, etc. But if we can get as many as we can throughout the season, the support that the 2,000 give us, if that becomes 3.5, 4, the world's our oyster, mate. You know what I mean? It really is, and we've got to get Torquay United rocking this year. This is a group of lads that, if you get behind, they've got lots of quality in this squad, and you know, I'm promising you now that it will be a very, very competitive season.
Well, I can see that you're very excited with these two potential signings, and I know that the Yellow Army will as well. Just to clarify, Gary, before we touch on those two, because you know, big announcement here by the club. What stage are we at with these two players in particular again?
Well, everything is at this moment in time. They've agreed. You know, they've agreed with the terms. They've agreed with everything. That we've just got to put that in contract form. So there's an agreement there. So they're our players in contract form for the National League when they tell us that we can start, you know, putting contracts into the league. All right, and that's the same with all national league teams. So, but I wouldn't have brought it up if I hadn't have already spoke to the lads and their representatives and everything, because and that will be the same with the other lads as well. But you know, if I get into trouble, I'll only get half into trouble for only giving you 2 out of 5, but giving you very good clues and very good hints for the other. Well, for certainly 2 of the others, and probably one that people wouldn't be able to work out just yet.
Okay, right. Well, we'll come to those in a moment. So let's just have a look at these two that we've been talking about. So subject to contract finalisation, we can look forward to Danny Wright and Andrew Nelson being Torquay United players next season. So if we look at Danny first, I mean, you're looking there at a vastly experienced centre forward, as you've already mentioned, scored over 130 goals at both National League level and League Two level. He's also played for the likes of Histon, Cambridge, Wrexham, Gateshead, Kidderminster. This is a player that made 34 appearances last season for Solihull Moors, you know, a club that was pushing for the playoff places and all of that. So clearly is a player that's, you know, still in his relative prime.
He is definitely. You know, I'm not doing it because he's you know, he's done well for me before, and you know, giving him a route out of football his last season. You know, it's not like that. It's we needed Danny Wright, and I felt we needed that type of player last year, but we couldn't get the particular players that we wanted. So when Danny became available, then of course, because I know him inside out, I know his game, he knows my game, he knows what I'm looking for. We're both of the same wavelength. Obviously, he played with Downsy, he's played with Asa. You know, Asa was part of that group, and all of us that have worked with Danny are so pleased that he's going to be with us. And the proof's in the pudding anyway. You know, of course, we hope that he starts by hitting the ground running. But you will see that enthusiasm and that power that he has. And we'll also have got that opportunity if we do need to, you know, strike the ball every now and again. You might be 1-0 down or something, to get it up to a striker. Then you know, he'll hold the ball up for you, and obviously he's good in the air. So if he has got them busy bees working around him, then you know, he's going to be great for them, because he will definitely take up 2 centre halves' thoughts by just, you know, being enthusiastic, let's say, up there.
Now, he's obviously a player that you've already touched on. You know very well. He scored 22 goals when your Cheltenham side won the National League. Followed that up with another 11 goals in his first season back in League Two. But it's not all just about goals with Danny, is it? He's got a lot of other attributes. You mentioned, you know, his personality and all of that, but his strength there. Is he one of these players that actually gets better with age?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be any better when he's 40, or 45. But I think he's getting towards the end of that. But he's still got it at this moment in time. And what he is, he's a lovely person off the field, and he's a competitor on the field. And he'll lead by example, basically. You know, that's what it is. He not only scores goals, other lads like playing with him because he can create goals, whether that be a little flicked header or a header back in to someone else. You know, he's not a greedy goal scorer, if you like. You know, whoever plays alongside him normally scores a fair amount of goals.
Now, you've just touched upon Andrew Nelson. So we've got the experience, obviously, of Danny Wright. Now, don't mind me saying it, Andrew Nelson is possibly one of those marquee signings that you were talking about earlier on in these interviews. Began his career at Sunderland, figured for them in their under-21, under-23 EFL trophy games. Is it fair to say 18 months ago, Andrew Nelson wouldn't have been considered as a Torquay player? Such was the high esteem that he was held in at Sunderland.
Exactly, and even right up to this point of me telling you, there's lots of people still talking to his representative and him, but they're having to say no. We've committed ourselves to Torquay, which is testament to the loyalty of him, and we've had a couple of good chats, and we've given, he was happy to take on some of our training regime for the past few days. Willingly, of course, but he's come from Dundee in Scotland. He still had another year on his contract, so we was fortunate enough to know that he became available due to financial restraints at Dundee. So we learned pretty early that might be the case, and we made a beeline for him, knowing that if we can get in early, and the club allows us to get in early, which it did, then we can secure his services, and that's what we've done, because he can play both. He can play as a number 9, and he can play as a number 10 as well. He can play wide as well, but at the moment we've got him in as the another bustling goal scoring centre forward. So that's what we're very much hoping that he'll show us very, very quickly. But we've got a good past in picking out players to score goals for us. I say us because it's me and Pete over many, many years, but it's also now it's me, Pete and Downsy, and we did a lot of homework on him. And he's got some goals out there. He's got a hammer shot on him, and as I say, the potential is going to be there for all of us to see.
I mentioned in last week's interview, Gary, that there had been fortunate with some of the signings, and is this a set of unusual circumstances that have perhaps worked in Torquay's favour? I mean, Dundee did pay a fee for Andrew when he was at Sunderland. Scored, I think it was 4 goals in his first league games when he was in the Scottish Premiership. And unfortunately, because they haven't managed to get out of the Championship and back in the Premiership, I think they finished 3rd, Dundee. Has all this come together and made the perfect opportunity for Torquay to grab a player like him?
Yeah, it is, but you've got to identify these players first. You've got to see, and you've got to wait for an opportunity for somebody like us to bring in a player like Andrew. And we were following the situation, and we knew that possibly Scottish football, some clubs would struggle because of the pandemic. So we kept a close eye on who might have become available, who was available, and when his name came up, that was very important for us to make a beeline quickly, find out who the representative is, and the representatives did a good job as well in convincing Andrew that Torquay was right for him at this moment in time. Get the potential out of him very, very, very quickly. So we feel we've done some good work, and for every 20 players, 40 players that you keep in mind, maybe only one a season comes through, but you're ready for it. And as I say, myself, Pete and Downsy, we keep our eyes and ears pretty much open, because we know that that's how you can gain somebody that you wouldn't necessarily have gained in any other circumstances.
Well, I mean, it certainly shows that the scouting network up in Scotland is working well. Danny Wright being the finished article with Andrew, is it very much you see the potential in him that you can develop and improve him, and further, like you said, this is the right time for him?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he works very, very hard, and because he works hard, sometimes he'll find himself running from what we class in to out, whereas we got players that can do the out bit for him. So just keep becoming dangerous. It's what we wanted to do with Reedy, and that worked. And you know, if somebody's a good finisher, a good striker of a ball, then they've got to be in dangerous positions, and that's what we've got to do. I mean, we had no problems last year scoring goals. We maybe could have scored a few more. It was the other end as well we had to tie up. But if you've got a couple of strikers in your team that are closing down any ball that might go forward, then the percentages are in your favour, because you know, we want to play a pressing game, and we got a couple of good ones up there that are happy to press and stop any forward passes in the opposition half, long balls up into our penalty area.
Subject to the final paperwork all going through, there are for these two new players. Obviously, we've got players within the squad already. You've got young Olaf Gazella. You've got others that can step into that number 10 role, like you've already mentioned. There's going to be some exciting options and maybe some a few selection headaches for you next season, Gary.
Yeah, no, well, I suppose so. On the face of it, it looks like that, because Olaf's another one that's got fantastic potential. You know, and he's another year of experience. He was at nearly all our first team games, played in a few, scored a goal at Chippenham, was it? You know, when we was in the Conference South, he was on the bench a few times. So he's one that, you know, he'll be pushing, that's for sure. And if we do get the injuries, we don't want the injuries that we had last year. How many times are we going to say that? But at least now we've got cover everywhere. You know, we've got enough centre halves, we've got enough midfielders, we've got enough strikers. Because actually, when Armani went up there with Reedy a couple of times, he did very well. You've got Ben Whitfield, who did very well. And when he went up there, he's happy to play up there with a big man. You've got even Jake can play in that position. The main definitely can play. You know, so we have got options of players that can play as one off the main striker. So I've got no problems at all believing that you know, we've got the ability in our group to score goals this season.
Well, some really exciting news there. And more news you were saying to come early next week. Is that what you're saying, Gary? Yeah,
on Monday we'll be able to, you know, mention another couple of names. If people don't mind me waiting on that, there's certain reasons for that. I can tell you them on Monday. And then there's, you know, the other last player we'll do on Tuesday, because obviously we're hoping to start back on Saturday. So not this Saturday, next Saturday. And that will be our squad for the time being. And it's fantastic to get this squad and the club to allow us to get our squad together first training session. And we can, you know, they're fit. We know they're fit, because, you know, we know that they've been working hard as individuals, and we can come back and we can concentrate on the football, our shape, our philosophy, you know, so on and so forth. So it's, yeah, I am excited, because we've been waiting for this for a long time, and I just believe that we've got our squad together that we're happy with day one, thanks to the football club. So now all we need now is to get our, you know, yellow army into the stadium. So we're hoping that they can come in as soon as possible. We don't know yet, but that's what we're hoping. So we'll be ready. So it'd be great if they, you know, they show their support from early on. You know, being on it at the start of our campaign, so that you can say, yeah, I was there at the start.
Now, Gaffer, obviously you're always very positive in these interviews, and have been from the start, when obviously we didn't have a lot of answers. We had lots of questions, didn't have perhaps so many answers. But are even you impressed by saying, actually, you know, by the start of pre-season, you'll have, if we'd said to you a couple of months ago, actually you'll have all your squad in place by then. Did you see that coming?
Well, we didn't, but that was what our aim was, because you know, when COVID hit, you know, the club quite rightly and the players quite rightly agreed that we would, you know, furlough ourselves to obviously help the club. But at the same time, the players that we wanted to keep, we lost two players, didn't we, Reedy and Kalala? But the majority of the squad we kept, because they knew that they had contracts for when furlough finished, because we didn't know exactly when it would finish when we started in end of March, I think it was. So, you know, the reason, so we had a base. We had, I think it was 12, 14 players that were already on contract. Now, we didn't have a lot to do because of our contacts and people that we'd been looking at and we thought we could bring in. We only needed the 5 or 6 players. And so we worked very hard on those. There's a lot of clubs at the moment that have only got very few. Sorry, Don, don't know what's that. You there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of clubs that where they, you know, players left the club and now they're building new squads. I've just added to what I think is a very good squad that we were left with. Yes, we had to find goals because we lost 2 of our goal scorers in effect. I think Calvin got a few and obviously Reedy, but we've covered that. We've added experience, a little bit more experience for the younger ones that have all got that potential that, you know, we can bring out all at once, knowing that they've got a few experienced lads. There's going to be 5 captains on the pitch. You know what I mean? So that's great. They're still going to have me in their ear, but we'll have 5 captains on the pitch. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, mate. I appreciate your question.
Brilliant. Well, you heard it from the man himself, Yellow Army. So just touching upon the preparations for 2021, just stepping away from signings for a moment. So it looks like everything is certainly going in the right direction. We've covered signings today. We've covered the start of the season, and it sounds like things for pre-season are also going very well. Then, Gary, you must be very happy with how things are starting to come together now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I say they're starting. I mean, they started a little while ago, but it's growing in the excitement level from our point of view and our players' point of view, because they're desperate to get back and do their job. You know, that's some of them. It's all they've ever known, and often, you know, July is a pre-season time, and so, you know, they're sort of a month or so behind. And they're looking forward to, you know, getting back with their football mates and kicking each other and screaming at each other, and albeit, you know, whether it's social distancing still at that point, you know, we don't quite know that for sure, but we'll be ready. You know, we've got enough time before the start of the season, and once you get them all together and the lads see the squad and feel you know, the enthusiasm of the squad, then that's when you really feel that it's starting. And starting with me, because I know what we're bringing in. The other players, you know a couple of the players, but the new players, but they don't know all of them. And when they all come together and we have our first little practice game or our first little 5-a-side, they'll see the quality of the group that we've brought in.
And with you having a close-knit, you know, smaller squad, you know, a lot of clubs are carrying smaller squads next season, but having so many players that are actually all ready for first action. We've already spoken before that, you know, we have got some young players in there, you know, even some first-year professionals, but that's going to be important that you've got everybody that's ready to compete for places. We were talking about Lucas and Sean earlier on, because the season's going to be compacted, isn't it, Gary? And you know, there could be lots of weeks where we're going to play two games within a week.
Yes, exactly. Which is why you need, you know, a strong first team squad, and that's what I believe we've got, and we have got cover in all areas. Now, the good thing will be if they decide, and I'm not sure yet whether they've officially decided, I don't think, to have the 5 subs, that you can actually use 5 subs, that would be perfect. For us, that would be perfect. And I think for most clubs, because certainly early on, and there will be a lot of games back to back. There'll be midweek games back to back. There'll be sort of quite a few games in a few of the months. So you're going to need those 5 subs to make sure that, you know, players don't get injured. It's not fatigue, you know, because it's been a long time since they've played relatively early to get back together before the first game, if you like. You know, it's not a great deal of time in between, especially if it starts on the 5th. So, you know, the work the boys have done during the lockdown will be very, very beneficial to them, and they'll be hopefully ahead of the game.
Great. Well, that's it's given us a lot to look forward to and to think about over the weekend, Gary. So I think that hope the Yellow Army will be happy with those responses. Well, you certainly didn't dodge that question, Gary. I'll give you that.
No, I'll probably get into trouble for it. But I mean, that's there you go. The Yellow Army comes first.
Well, if it doesn't go to plan and we do get told off, you might have 2 new people sat here doing this interview next week, Yellow Army. So although we have got a couple of niceties that we'll do. So we've got a couple of happy birthdays, if that's all right, Gary. So
Yeah,
got a very nice
like
one. We've got a first one. It's really nice. It's the first birthday to Arthur, who's looking forward to his first visit to Plainmoor, but hasn't been able to. So I just wonder if you could wish a happy first birthday to Arthur.
Wow. Happy first birthday, Arthur. And you're starting pretty young, mate. But if we can give you a good first couple of games, and hopefully we'll have you for the rest of your life. So we'll talkify you if we can.
I understand that there was a bit of pressure on him to become a Crystal Palace fan, but I think he's made the right decision, don't you, Gary?
Yeah, it's a long way to go, Crystal Palace, anyway. So if he's local, then Torquay's your club.
And hopefully he won't mind me saying it, but we've got the other end of the scale. We've got happy birthday to Dave Cogan. It's a belated birthday, turned 60 recently. He has been a little bit poorly over lockdown, but thankfully is starting to feel a little bit better. So just wondered if you could just wish a belated happy birthday to Dave Cogan.
Dave Cogan, belated happy birthday, mate, to yourself. And hope you're well now. As Dom said there, you've been not very too well, but hopefully you'll get over that. Once us people turn 60, we get all the little bits and pieces, don't we? But we've got to be strong, get through them, and look forward to the football coming back. And you know what the best medicine is, don't you? The first game of the season with a win. And hopefully we can give that to Dave, and hopefully he's well enough to be there.
Happy birthday to Arthur and Dave, and I think we're all looking forward to having a bit of that medicine. First win of the season, hopefully at Plainmoor. Gaffer, thank you again for all your responses. Yellow Army, thank you for taking part. We'll part as we always do. Take care, keep safe, and we look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon now.